Would you like to start this episode? You never start an episode.
Sure. Hello, Everpony, and welcome into another episode of Net Peckers with your host, Riveter and Emax.
Wow, that was very I want to say that was passive aggressive, but that was just aggressive.
Pretty much.
I think.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, you know.
Oh God. Well, hello there, Everpony. Yes, this is Net Peckers, and yeah, we're having a gay old time. Riv, you were talking to me about this, and I've been kind of like paying attention. I'll be honest with you, I don't really pay super a lot or close attention to Boogie. It's not really something that like crosses over my feed so often. But you know, I get updates here and there, and we've been invested because of the whole Lolcow thing. And I don't know, I saw a video by Boogie a little while ago where he seemed to be a little bit more, he opened up about being a little bit more introspective about, you know, just all the stuff that he's got going on, with being a Lolcow and all of that. And like, you know, becoming more self-aware. So
it's almost like Pinocchio. I'm a real boy.
I'm a real boy. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
No, I have been a consumer of Boogie content. This probably goes all the way back to, I'm going to say early, like 2000. I'm going to say like 2006 or 7. I was still playing WoW pretty hot and heavy back then.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say it's probably my youngest son. It may have been my oldest, irrespective. It was one of my sons came in to me one day, says, "Dad, you got to check out this video. I think it's you. I think someone's," I'm like, "What?" And it was one of the Francis videos of freaking out about their WoW account or whatever, getting hacked or whatever. One of those bits that he did, right?
Yeah.
So I have been a fan, a consumer of Boogie content from that day forward. And then when I found out, of course, he lived here in Arkansas, relatively close to where I was like, "Oh, cool. Right? He's a fellow Arkansan."
It's always cool when a content creator, it's like, "Oh, you're just up the road." That's so weird.
Yeah,
wow. You're like a normal person. Yeah.
Just a normal person, right?
Right.
But then, you know, Boogie kind of, I don't know, he just kind of started taking a turn, you know?
A constant turn for the worse. I mean, he did say in that video that I mentioned before, where it's like it's just a series of failure after failure after failure with no real redemption from it, and not learning from the mistake and just continually perpetuating the failure over and over.
You know, everything about Boogie and his journey in this life has, you know, it's like some of us are really slow learners, right? Mm-hmm. And even on myself, sometimes I'm slow to learn about a few things, right? I have to kind of get burned a couple of times to really get, okay, this is not a good thing to do. Generally speaking, most people say, okay, they get burned or they mash their finger or whatever it is, they learn. Because pain is a very quick educator, right?
Yep.
We learn pain. This is no good. You don't want to do this.
Fire looks awesome until you get burned.
Yeah,
and then it's not so awesome.
But it's like Boogie's pain receptors or something are not working. And because he continues this cycle that he's in, and ultimately,
I don't know if it's his pain receptors are off. It's not that, I don't think that it's that he doesn't feel the pain. It's like he doesn't have a reaction. Like he doesn't have an appropriate reaction to it. Like, you know, because like, okay, sticking with the fire analogy, right? You stick your hand in a fire and then you go, "Oh my God, that's hot." And then you pull it out, right? It's like what Boogie does is like he sticks his hand in a fire and then he leaves it there and he goes, "Damn, this is really, really hot. But this is the reason why I decided to stick my hand in the fire." And then he tries to justify it for 20 minutes before he pulls it out. And then it's like, you know, a black mass that he's just like, it's just nothing but bone at that point.
It's that, or he blames somebody else for the bad decision.
Right, but he doesn't take his hand out of the fire still.
Exactly. He leaves his hand in there the whole time hollering about.
Right.
You know, and then he says, "Well, why?" And the thing that is like, we're like, "Boogie, your hand, get your hand out of the fire, Boogie."
Yeah.
And they're like, "You don't understand. You don't understand why my hand." It's because this happened.
Yeah, and it's like, no, but we're not saying that you can't feel this way or that you can't have your hand in the fire. We're saying that if you continue to do it right now, you're going to get hurt.
Yes. We're like, okay, yes, we're empathetic, we're sympathetic, whatever applies to you. to why you had, the trauma that you had in your life and why you do. We understand.
Yeah, we get it.
We're just saying, pull your hand out of the fire. There is a better way.
Yeah.
Well, you don't understand. I can't. I have to.
No, you don't. You don't. That's the thing. That's what makes a lolcow. And actually, he actually did a really good job of defining that. That like it's a matter of how you react to things. It's not that you have a failure or a series of failures, but it's how you react to when when people come up and point those failures out to you. How do you respond? Do you shift the blame, or do you like over self-internalize? There's two ends to that spectrum. There's the one where it's like, it's all my fault and woe is me and I will never get out of this because this is my mental trauma. Jalen. Or you have the people that are like, this was never me, it was never my fault, I didn't do anything wrong, and then they push the blame on other people, kind of like, Boogie seems to do from time to time. He actually does both. Tipster is more of, I think, that. There's many other lolcows that kind of fit into that thing. But it's interesting, and the reason why we decided to talk about this today is because, like I said, Boogie seems to be coming around to a point of self-awareness, which I don't know if we've ever actually seen in a lolcow before. Certainly not one on his level, right? Of his notoriety. So it's going to be an interesting kind of arc. Go ahead.
I'm going to hope it appears that way.
Right? It appears. I'm not hopeful, to be honest.
Yeah, that he's waking up and he's taking a long, hard look at himself. And maybe that is because I know he has changed his therapy treatments. He's no longer doing the traditional pharmaceutical route. He's doing other medical treatment process. And he's got a caretaker or a therapist, or I don't know really what the person's credentials are.
Yeah, it seems like he's building back kind of a support system, because that's the other thing about Boogie is that he sort of lost all of that like fairly quickly, And so at the very least, he's got a new or better, I don't know, different therapist, but he's also got the girlfriend and stuff like that. And while he probably shouldn't be putting a lot of emotional on her, at least it's a distraction, Well, I'm just saying he's set up all right.
The thing of it is he has friends, right? He's always had this group of friends that he's always done things with, right? That have similar interests, like they get together and they play D&D, or they play, Magic the Gathering, or do friend group type stuff. Right? He's always had that, there.
Yeah.
When he and his wife came to the conclusion that they no longer could be married, and they went through the divorce or whatever, it was, I think, for the most part, pretty amicable. I think they parted on relatively decent terms with each other. He but yeah, he didn't have someone, and this has always been my thing, because I know he's got this roommate that stays there with him and stuff. And this was always my question: was any of these friends really the type of friends that would say, "Hey, Boogie, maybe this is not the way. Maybe this is not what you need to do." Or were they always just, for the lack of a better word, yes people, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so I always wondered that, because to me, the true mark of a good friend is somebody who will sit there and tell you, "Hey, this is maybe not the right path. Maybe this."
Well, it's that scene from Harry Potter, right? It's the one Neville Longbottom, comes up and he's scared and he's like this. He's the most pathetic child of the entire school, and yet here he is about to like take on basically like the preps. Like he's just like, he's going full bore after like the most popular guy in school, the smartest girl in school, and arguably maybe one of the cooler kids at school. I don't know if Ron Weasley really could be considered that, but you get the point. It takes courage. And that is the mark of a true friend, is being able to stick up and say, "Hey, you're doing something wrong here. I can't allow you to do this, and I've got to bop you on the nose a little bit and tell you like, hey, just stop it." Frankly, I feel sus about people when they are overly friendly with me and they never have anything bad to say. It's like, that's a little bit like, not that you look for a fight or anything, but
no,
it's just it's normal to have a little bit of tension sometimes with people. That's okay. It's not a bad thing.
No, not at all.
So really quick, I actually pulled this video up before we watched the other one, because this is where it all started for me in the interest of this whole entire Boogie thing. This is a tweet by Boogie. He says, R.E. June the King in his latest video. He explains it in this, so I won't say anything more, and we'll just listen up, see what it is.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming at you live once again through the power of the internet. And I'm here to admit, I'm a lolcow. If you're not familiar with what that is, I'll be glad to explain it to you. A lolcow is somebody who consistently does idiotic things online, and especially when you mess with them. You know, that's called milking the lolcow. If you screw with that person, they'll probably overreact. Yeah, that's been me for the last...
Do you think there's anybody on Kiwi Farms or anything that's like, that's me, he's talking about me? God.
Sure.
I mean, it's just like, it is a little funny to me, because I have never really been one to engage in lolcows in the degree that some people do.
Yeah.
But like, man, people are... if it's like all in decent fun, I guess, but like some of them are just so vicious. I mean, that must be really hard to deal with, you know?
So quick question. Because you kind of took a hiatus from this part of the internet for a little while. And I'm trying to think back in the time when you were actively creating content and stuff, and you were, you know, I'm trying to think. I don't remember lolcow being a term, and I don't remember actually being a lolcow back then.
It was because like Chris Chan, people like Chris Chan existed. Like lolcow was, I believe, a term. I hope nobody doxes me over this, but like I think it came from 4chan. I'm pretty sure that was like a term colloquialized in like 4chan forums and stuff, which I frequented when I was younger. Yeah, I know. I was on B. I was such an edgy kid in middle see on B. Yeah. That's why I turned out as fucked up as I am, I'm sure. But yeah, it existed.
Well, see, yeah, I guess, but I don't know. I honestly, I never had anything to do with the whole Chris Chan space.
I mean,
that whole world, I just stayed away from it.
Yeah, it was a little bit more around me, because I was like Newgrounds people were a thing, and they were like invested in that, because I like it just, yeah, I don't know. I stumbled upon the concept of lolcow early, or at least because I remember a conversation that was being had around the time with the whole Keemstar stuff versus Leafy, where people were calling Keem a lolcow even then. And I remember being like, he's not a lolcow, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, I remember having that, but I don't know where I heard the term. I don't know where the first, thing of lolcow is. Anyway.
17 years. Now, you may not be aware of this, but it'll probably come across your timeline after you watch this. There's an entire cottage industry making videos about people like me. Sometimes entire small channels dedicated to just someone like me or Jordy. Wings of Redemption or Dark Side Phil, but also some really high-end channels like Turkey Tom, Sonny V2, and most notably June the King, who dropped a video about me today. Now, I'll admit, these videos get made frequently, and in general, I cannot watch all of them. Mostly because I get very defensive. I get very angry. I'm like, well, that's not how that happened. That's not my experiences. They're not including what I was feeling during that moment. They don't really understand why I did what I did at that moment. It normally makes me just extremely angry. But today, the June the King video came across my timeline, and I decided to try a little experiment. I would set aside my ego and stop being Stephen Williams for a little while, and just watch this video as if I was an impartial third party, as if I were you, to see what you get out of a video like this.
I didn't catch this before, but the whole thing about ego, that's very interesting. Like, I didn't really associate it with ego, you know what I mean? But it makes sense. It is. It's just ego.
You know what's also interesting to me?
What?
Is he refers to himself by his name. And I'm going to tell you why that's really interesting. Some of you probably know this. Some of you may not. I actually had a phone conversation with Boogie back some time ago. I asked, because I felt weird. He wanted to know what to call me, so I gave him my first name. And so I said, should I call you? Should I call you Steve, or should I call how would you? He goes, I'm Boogie. So I was like, okay. I felt like that was a little bit strange.
Okay.
But I respected the man's wishes. I referred to him as Boogie, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because he said he had been Boogie his entire life. And I'm like, so to hear him refer to himself by his name, Steve, or Steven, that just, this probably going to sound a bit weird, maybe, but it gives maybe a little more credence to where he's becoming a bit like he's coming out of the fog. And maybe
it's weird, right?
His vision is maybe getting a little bit clear on what he's been doing to himself. And maybe there's some hope of coming out of this.
Yeah, it's a deliberate attempt to take off the ego vest, for it to kind of be laid aside. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So when I heard this, because I watched this, because he actually put this out on YouTube as well as this Twitter thing here. But when I heard this, I was like, man, maybe because here's the thing. I like Boogie. And because I have a long history with watching him. So if he's actually truly pulling this thing out of this nosedive that he's been in, I will really be happy for the man.
I think he can do it too. Like, I'll be honest with you. I don't think anything that he's done is so bad that he would he's going to have to take people, joking about the whole gun incident like forever. That's never going to go away. The jokes that they make about him just in general are never going to go away. So long as he can take all of that, I think he can get out of this and actually be maybe the first ever salvaged lolcow, I don't know. I want to hear the rest of this.
Something.
Okay, go.
It didn't make me mad at all. It just made me extremely sad. Like, if I wanted to, I could make an entire video deflecting and explaining. This is why I felt the way I felt. This is why I did what I did. He didn't get it entirely accurately here, but there's no point in that. For the most part, he got it mostly correct. The overall point of the video is that I'm a fuck up, and that I've fucked up almost every.
Twitter. Okay. Here we go.
It was my finances, my YouTube career, my marriage, my bariatric surgery. I go into these things with an incredible amount of incompetence. I stumble my way through them. I almost always get the worst possible outcome because I'm an idiot. It is what it is. Over the last 9 months, I worked with a documentarian by the name of Mike Klum. And his documentary is going to drop later this month. Tomorrow, on this very channel, I'm going to show you the trailer for that documentary and show you my reaction to it. But even with my help, even with me working with Mike, we got basically the exact same thing that June the King or Turkey Tom has gotten. And that is to say that I am a fuck up who has fucked up his own life, fucked up his own body.
Interesting. So, I don't know if maybe I'm reading too much into this, but what that tells me is because he had to work so closely with somebody who was making a documentary about him, and he actually got the opportunity to be able to kind of correct in real time. He maybe that's what humbled him, is that it's the realization that even by doing that, it's not like the main brunt of what is being said is all that different anyway. So it caused him to have to force self-reflect upon all of his actions in a very immediate kind of real way where he really couldn't get away from it.
Well, I think part of it, maybe too, part of the thing of being about a lolcow is the repetitiveness cycle of what they do, right? So when something happens, everybody makes mistakes. Everyone can have a screw up. Everyone can have a spurg out, whatever it can happen.
Yeah.
The problem is when you continuously do it over and over, and it's a wash, rinse, and repeat. So the first time when it happened with Boogie, and if he'd have stopped it and he never would have done it again, okay, fine, right? But when you actually honestly take a hard look, and maybe by doing this documentary, he started to see that, and his eyes, the scales, as they say, kind of fell off his eyes, and he kind of started seeing for the first time. And he's like, I can't make excuses, especially if this guy's, but Boogie, okay, here, this happened, but then here's the same thing. It's the same exact thing. You see the repetitiveness of this, and you see, and maybe that's what it was. Maybe by him participating in it, he's starting to see that people like June the King or Turkey Tom is a couple that he, named in this.
Maybe they're not so bad. Maybe it's not that they're bad guys and they just look at him it's just that, like, given all of the facts of what's out there, this is the conclusion that somebody would reasonably make. And maybe he's just for the first time realizing that. I think that is what's happening.
But, I think it's safe to say that there were probably some people in the past that made videos that, 100% it was malicious, and they intentionally painted it in the worst possible light, and there was no charitability, there was no grace, there was no nothing, and it was totally to try to destroy Boogie, the creator, even the man. There's no doubt in my mind. But when you look, because I watched June the King's videos, and I've watched Turkey Tom's video. That was not. It was more of a historical type video. It was like,
it's an analysis, not a hit piece.
Yes, exactly.
Up his own career, and I'm a fuck up, and I know a lot of people have wanted to see me hold myself accountable, and I think through this documentary, me and Mike have done exactly that. I'm tired of making apology videos, and at the same time, I'm tired of deflecting and saying, well, I'm justifying my bad behavior, because at the end of the day, even if you justify a bad behavior, it's still a bad behavior. That's what I learned by firing that weapon, right? Involuntary manslaughter is a thing. It doesn't matter if your intentions were good. If you slaughter something, even if it's your own career, they got to be held accountable.
So that was a based video. I really like that. That was it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not familiar enough with Boogie to know for certain if maybe he's already done this before, or he's said stuff like this before.
Yes,
he has.
That's the thing. That's the thing about the June video, right? This latest June the King video that he did, right? Mm-hmm. He points that out. How he'll come out and he'll say, "Okay, I'm not going to repeat this anymore. I'm not going to do these things anymore. I'm going to take accountability. I'm whatever." And sometimes he goes a period of time. And what I mean by a period of time, I'm talking maybe a week, maybe a week and a half.
Oh boy.
More times than not, it's just within days. Sometimes not even a 24-hour period of time, and he's right back into doing the same stuff. Because he is, and I think June the King nails this really well. Boogie is terminally online. He is continuously attached to the internet. And his biggest biggest addiction probably is Twitter.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And if you go and June the King shows this and goes through the history about, when he first created a Twitter account, this how many tweets that was, and you see how it exponentially.
Well, it makes sense. I mean,
worse and worse and worse.
Yeah. With Boogie's, his childhood history, his adult history, I mean, I'm not trying to be mean or, for his appearance or whatever, but we talk about this from time to time. This is there are certain things that end up happening when a man who otherwise in society would be looked over, right? All of a sudden gets a lot of attention from a lot of different types of people. It's not even just female attention; it's just attention in general. That can do a lot to a person, and make them so that they crave it, even because they don't get it in real life, but online there's somebody, So. Well, anyway, we watched that video both by ourselves and kind of had our thoughts and feelings. I'm glad we talked about it. But so this is actually the reason why we are here, though. Boogie released another video about an hour ago, and it says reaction to the dark sad life of Boogie2988 trailer. So this is the documentary that he was talking about with his friend. I don't remember what the name of the content creator is. Do you remember?
Mike
Klum. Okay. So Mike Klum is producing this documentary about Boogie. Boogie's helping him. And this is, I guess, his reaction just to the trailer. And neither Riv or I have seen this, so we're going to watch it for the first time right now.
I have not seen it.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming at you live once again through the power of the internet. And Mike Klum and I have been working together for the last 9 months on the documentary. And I gave Mike permission to look at everything I've ever done on the internet, all the way back to 1996, to pick and choose from tens of thousands of hours of footage, the hundreds of hours of footage we shot together to put this thing together. I'm finally getting to see the trailer for this thing. Haven't seen the doc, so I guess we watch it. I'm a 48-year-old man in a fucking online space that's dominated by 20-year-old kids. I'm sick, I'm old, I'm fucking dying. I wake up every day and do the same shit over and over again, expecting different results, and I never get them, but I'm just keep trying.
Boogie2988, he's a legend of YouTube. He's been around forever. He's a fucking legend.
I thought it was one of the funniest things I'd ever seen. Like, I remember it.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen, YouTube, Boogie2988. I'm good at this. I can handle it. Go fuck yourself. Boogie2988. His fall from grace is so catastrophic.
So I'm asking for your help as we head into the holidays. I need $7,000 a month. I'm not making $7,000 a month, and I have no clue how to do it. And I made some money off of YouTube last month, but I did not make enough without a sponsor or something. Like, this is going to keep me from going out on the streets, right? Like, this is going to keep me in the house. So guys, can I introduce you to the love of my life?
Because I love him, and just imagining a life without him is difficult.
This is where I spend 6 to 8 hours a day trying to figure out how to save my career. What is your My risk for stroke or heart attack is astronomical.
You have one chance left, and I'm not talking about you. You're so fucking special. I wish I was special.
And I hope to win your love and your views.
This is a guilt trip. He's guilt tripping his audience, like, and like he kind of shames people that don't watch his videos all the way to the end and shit. He brings it up multiple times. Like, this is
I forgot we were filming for a minute. Have you ever had your life summed up in a 2-minute trailer before? That's a new experience. It is sad. It's sad. And I think the trailer captures that perfectly. And I hope the documentary does as well. It's a sad story. I had a really good chance to make my life amazing. And for a brief period of time, I did. And I fucked it up. And I'm excited. I'm excited for people to see that story. When I started YouTube, I was 600 pounds, and I was gross, and I was alone, and I was stuck at home, and I had nothing, and I was doing nothing. And I got on YouTube because I wanted to serve as a bad example. I wanted people to learn from my mistakes, and I hope this helps them do it.
All right. Well, I think that's it. Looks like there's a little bit more text that comes up. What does it say? Yeah, okay. It's just promotion. All right. Well, it's a good trailer. I thought it was really cool. I mean, like, it looks. I think this is going to be interesting. So I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I wasn't expecting this kind of an emotional, I guess, response from me on this.
No, I mean I don't have as much of a connection with Boogie, but I felt it too. I mean, it's the thing is, like, we all make mistakes, and unfortunately, there's even people out there that they make mistakes, but you can tell that, like, they're not all bad, or maybe they're not just bad in general, or maybe they have some bad qualities, but there's good there. And it's I don't know. To me, it's like a happy sad, or a sad happy. I don't know which, but I'm glad that Boogie is being a different kind of introspective. It looks like it. I think that this might be a good thing. The fact that he's calling this sad, saying that ad nauseum, is, I don't think, a bad thing.
First thing off the bat, the backtracking song.
Perfect. Oh my God, perfect. Yes, I didn't expect that, because when it first came on, I'm like, that's an interesting. And then it's like, perfect.
Here's the thing. Boogie, looking back, and it's sad. Okay, sad at what could have been. I get that, right? And I'm, and he's coming to the realization of, okay, well, yeah, I fucked up. I've done something. Okay, fine. But I wonder if Boogie has ever stopped for just a moment and thought about all the good that he's done as well, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Again, I go back to, and it's like when I don't want to tell too much, because I felt like the conversation between Boogie and I that day is something that, for the most part, in its totem, should remain between us.
Mm.
But I told him that I felt like he needed to know this, that, like I said, my first really exposure to him was my son, one of my sons, I don't remember which one it was, telling me about, hey, Dad, da 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 da, and I went and looked, and we watched it and we laughed.
Yeah.
Right. And even to this day, me and my sons, we still will talk about and laugh about some of the old Boogie clips and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Still will go back and watch them and remember, right? Because they're positive memories. They're good things. Is some of the stuff that Boogie's done been horrific? 100%.
Yeah.
Horrific. But here's the thing. The things that he's done has not been like horrific towards other people.
No.
It's been self-destructive.
Monstrous towards his own life.
To himself. And that's what's sad. That's all he can focus on is, and I get it, right? Because when you get into a downward spiral and you get into this defeatist mindset, it's hard.
Yeah.
It is. It's really hard, because I don't think there's a person out there walking the planet Earth at times don't have bouts of depression.
Of course. That's a human experience. That's the real human experience. Yeah.
And so there are times when, I get down, right? And I get moody. I get depressed.
Sure.
And I start questioning, right? And this is where I'm fortunate or lucky enough. I've got friends and I've got family members that can kind of tell when I'm beating myself up, right? And they come and they'll talk to me and they'll get me to laughing and remembering good stuff too, right?
Right.
Because that's what life is, right? It's yin and yang. It's the good.
It's a roller
and
coaster
it's the bad.
ride. It's the highs don't. You can't consider the highs as great as they are unless you have the lows too.
Exactly, and my heart truly does break for Steven.
Yeah,
it really does.
I wonder if he understands that the reason why people like him is not necessarily always because they were laughing at him or even that he told a funny joke even. I think he doesn't, like, he's one of the OG YouTubers. Like, he's one of the people that I would consider to be one of the old, old people.
Old school, yeah.
Yeah, and like, the thing for YouTubers, like, the currency you trade in is relatability. And that's the thing about Boogie is that, like, his struggles and everything, there's nothing about it to me that I've ever thought was like outrageous or unrelatable to me in the sense that, like, oh man, why would you do that? Why would you go and do something so silly or so stupid like that? Self detriment kind of thing. Like, why would you do? But at the same time, it's human. Like, you're human, Boogie. Like that's all it is. So
here's the thing, right? And I understand some of it, right? Because a lot of times when he would do his rambling vlog series on his channel, seemed like it was always kind of a, I don't know, like, I'm not going to say down or just like, but it was always usually not really like positive stuff. And it's not necessarily negative, but it was just kind of, really, and I was like, is this all this guy's? I mean, it's just sadness in his. I mean,
you gotta see that's the thing about the sadness, though. That is, it's the bottom. He reached bottom.
So here's the thing: he's got another person in his life now, a young lady, and I know there are people that are giving him tons of shit about the age difference. Fuck off with that is all I can tell you. They're both consenting adults. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And neither should you. And quite honestly, if you're, as long as they're consenting adults, that's all that you should be concerned about past that.
Yeah.
Because I noticed he's traveling again. And like, I know he just went out to, and was with the kid behind the camera. And they went out and did some collaboration and did some crossover videos and things like that and had some fun and whatever. Mm-hmm. It was all gimmicky, stage, typical kid behind the camera. Oh, Bridge is cheating on me with whatever type that they always do. Mm-hmm. But, that's what their fan base likes. So carry on. I don't give it. It's whatever, right? But I was glad to see Boogie out doing things again.
Yeah.
But then he went back to his hometown and went to his childhood home again and was talking about that stuff. And I was like, you've already done this, Boogie. You've already went back. Why are we going back to this poison well that is horrible memories for you?
Yeah.
Right.
We talked about this actually on Now Recording, and I had this thought while I was on there.
Yeah.
It's like, that scene in Forrest Gump where he goes back to Jenny's old house.
Yes.
You know what he does in that scene?
He tears it down. He bulldozes
it. Exactly. He bulldozes it and he builds. I don't even know if he builds on top of it. He just gets rid of it. It's just new. And that's so symbolically perfect. And that's what Boogie needs to do. He needs the idea of it. Obviously you can't just buy a property like that and
well, no, he owns
it for no reason.
He owns it.
Oh, well then fuck it. Yeah, I would go in there with a fucking sledgehammer and start going to town.
He was in the video, and I if he shared this before, I didn't know it, but in this last one, he was talking about how that land was bequeathed to him in the will or whatever after the passing of his parents. I'm like, okay, if that land's yours, dude, sell the land.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sell it.
Get rid of it.
Walk away from it.
No, because you know what, dude?
You know what? And here's the thing too, right? And I doubt seriously if he'd ever hear this podcast, but on the happenstance that he does, listen to me, Boogie. Stephen, listen to me. Sell that property. Take that money that you would get from it and give it to some charity. Don't ever let that money even enter your bank account. Don't. And the reason being is quite simple. Because I don't know you. We're not brothers. We're not buddies. We've never sat down, broke bread. We're not. But just from, I think that you would beat yourself up about it, honestly.
Yeah.
By
You would
accepting
see
the
it as
money.
blood money or something.
Yes. And it would always be there. I would just say, I understand. I think from what he shared, he is in a pickle right now financially. So it would be very tempting, I'm sure, to take that money and to help with his debt and stuff.
Right.
But I think in the long run, my personal thoughts would probably be more harmful than good.
Yeah.
But I'll say this, it does seem like this new friend, this new girlfriend that he has in his life does seem to have him out and going and engaging and being up and active. And that's good.
Yes. That's so good.
That is good. From things that he shared, she has had her own traumatic past as well. That gives me some pause, but hopefully she has dealt with it in a healthy, professional way with therapists and stuff, and kind of gotten hers at bay. Because if not, it could become a very circle where they just
misery can love company.
But
it doesn't
honestly
seem like it. I mean, it looks
doesn't.
hopeful.
I hope the best for Boogie. I really do. I want him to pull this out. I want him to be able to go into the sunset. Like I said, he's got, he's a little long on the tooth, kind of like me, right? And him going out and being able to do anything else is not a reality. So if he cannot continue to market himself in some way or capacity on social media or YouTube or whatever, I don't know what else he could. I think
that he can get to the. I think that if he keeps pumping away, at this, and I think that if he keeps on trying the way that he is, I think he will find a wellspring of new life to live, new concepts to make content about, and just a life that's beyond this. I'm gonna have to do the D-Max thing, and I'm gonna have to relate this all to One Piece because of course I do. So you saw it. You saw the live action in One Piece. Nami, was basically enslaved or trapped by Arlong, the fish man.
Yep.
And there's that point where they're on the island, and Luffy's basically taking back from Arlong, and they're basically fighting over Nami at that point. And there's a point in the fight where Luffy realizes the map room that they're in, that Nami has spent a lot of her time being shackled to. This like literally like a chain that she was tied to this place where she was forced to make maps and stuff. Luffy realizes that like this is the prison. Is like that room is the prison literally, but it's also the prison like mentally. As long as this exists, Nami will always think that there's nothing more for her out there in this world. And honestly, I think that the house is a perfect similarity, between those two things. And I think it's the same thing for Boogie. It's that that house, it is an emblem of his past trauma, all of it,
Yeah.
And he needs to move past it one way or another. So I think you're absolutely right. I think he needs to sell it or bulldoze it or whatever. And I agree. None of it should go into his pocket, because he will feel bad about it. And that's the only, that would be the best situation, is that he can be free of that, feel like he can start anew and walk off into the sunset with his new girlfriend, and just be happy and just live a new life, have a new lease on life. So it's hopeful, man. We don't see this every day. This is something special, hopefully he stays on the right path of it, but
I'm actually looking forward to this. It's going to be the documentary by Mike Cullum is going to be released on YouTube free. You're not going to have to there's not going to be any charges or paywall from what Boogie has said.
It looks very quality too. Like I do have to say that. Impressive. I've never heard of Mike Klum before, but
me either.
Very impressively shot. The tone of it was very good. The compositing of the shots I thought was like very, very good, very strong. I didn't hate any aspect of this. I thought it was very, very well done.
Did I hear you snicker just a little bit when they had the scene of? I assume it was.
I was laughing. I was laughing at him because his reply, or like how he reacted to that, was like interesting to me. Because like obviously he knew that they filmed that, right?
Sure.
I'm trying to find it now.
Yeah, it's like right in here. So it looks like right there. Yeah.
No. It's not. It's not that one. It's hold on. It's coming up. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. That.
Oh yeah, because he was kind of going, wow.
Yeah, because that it's because of that. That was what it was.
Yeah.
It was him and his girlfriend or something. Yeah, right
in the
there.
Tub. Yeah, they're in the tub together. Yeah.
Yeah. Oof. Well,
I wonder if he's kind of remembering
the filming or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe you know what? Because she's a petite little bitty thing, right? And he's a big dude physically. You know what I'm saying? As far as his body, he's still a big guy. I'm wondering if the shock of her size in comparison to his, maybe he's
like
never seen that
before.
He's never seen that, and that's kind of like he's like, wow, how tiny she is compared to him, you know?
Yeah, because she's in the tub. Yeah, that's it. That's literally his reaction.
Yeah, it's like wow, and I'm wondering if maybe that's what it is, you know? So.
Yeah, well, like you said, I think this is going to be. I wasn't like, to be honest, I really wasn't that hype about the documentary, but now I think it's going to be very interesting to see this. It might even be a very good. It'll be really cool to do like a compare and contrast between all of the different documentaries that have come out so far about Boogie in comparison to this one, which apparently he had like hand in. So I'm excited for that. I think that's really good. I wish the best for him.
Kind of as a closing thought, I hope this was like, I don't know what the word is, cathartic for him.
Cathartic, yeah.
Cathartic for him. I hope that this helps him close maybe the door on that part of his life.
Yeah.
I hope that he looks at things with new eyes and he focuses on the positive stuff going forward and not the negative stuff. And I hope that Boogie has a great life going forward and that he can finally close the door on this chapter in his life and like I say, all this darkness, this sadness. Is kind of, he could just and never walk back and open the door again. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's
bulldoze the house. Bulldoze the house.
Well, kind of going back to that thing that you were talking about, and you referenced it. Oh, now recording last night about the scene about where he goes and he bulldozes Jenny's old house. There's a scene earlier than that, right? While Jenny was still alive, where they're out walking, they walk by the house and she picks up rocks and she starts throwing rocks. And then she just collapses from physical and emotional exhaustiveness. And the character says, sometimes I guess there's just not enough rocks.
Yeah. Oh my God. Forrest Gump is such a good movie. Yeah, that scene. No, because that's exactly, I think that's the process that we all go with when we're talking about trauma and stuff from our past, is that first you don't know anything about it because it's your life, and then you leave it, and then you come back to it and you're angry and bitter, and all you can do is lash out at it. But there's absolutely never going to be enough rocks to throw.
No.
And then one day it will be behind you, and
you just go on
and you just move on.
Yeah.
So.
And I hopefully Boogie is getting to the point where he can just move on.
I hope so.
I hope for that peace to come into his life. I feel like he deserves it.
Yeah.
You know, and I know there's still people out to kind of give me grief, like, oh, you know, Riv's a Boogie, you know, fan or whatever. Yes, yes, I am.
God forbid we want to see somebody do well. You know, see a triumphant story. Something, you know, somebody get lifted up.
And I really truly do. Like I said, I'm sure he won't ever see this, but if he does, I just hope the best for you, my dude. I really do.
All right. Well, that all being, oh yeah, you know what? There was actually one question that I really quickly had to ask Boogie. Wait, hold on. I can do a better one than that. No, I can't.
Hey, Boogie, by the way, would you like to, you know.
Hey, Boogie, I know that you're experiencing emotional trauma or whatever, but I got a quick question for you.
You want to see my Pecker?